And good afternoon. We are in Ashland, Oregon with my friends Ben and Greg. I'm Theo, and our guest today, August 1st of 2026, Gary Lundgren.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's a great studio.
Yeah, we're in La Boveda Labs in Ashland, Oregon. We got all kinds of projects going. We're going to start off with the movie Pelican.
Yeah, Pelican.
Your most recent thing.
Well, this is a good chance for me to talk about it because it's a delicate thing to talk about. I had a friend a good friend who took his own life back in 2021. You know, really good friend. I was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. And it really threw me for a loop. And it made me think about how prominent suicide is and mental health. And I guess I wanted to do something artistically about it after that and work through it in my own way, and that is Pelican. So it's a story about two friends that get together on the Oregon coast because one is concerned about the other, you know, reflecting on him and what happened and how he got into that position, and you know, it's all very hard to figure out. You don't really know what's going on with anyone. So I read a lot of books about it. I studied it. I looked at new protocols for suicide prevention, and just really let it percolate while we were making Above the Trees, you know, which was the previous movie that we made in Ashland, and I really got excited about art that isn't didactic, but explores meaningful subjects, you know, that might bring some insight and wisdom to myself or to anyone who watches the movie. You know? Making a movie is like a house of cards, you know. You might have the story, and if that's your only card, you're probably not gonna be able to make it, you know. So you need allies, you need little, the universe just has to provide something that can stand up. And it's hard to know when that's gonna happen. My friend Kenny, who's a real estate person in town, has a beach house in Gold Beach, and he's a supporter of the arts. He believes in the films we're making, and he said, hey, if you ever need a location, you can use my house in Gold Beach. So I put that in the back of my mind. Yeah, and then I had another story about pelicans because I've always been fascinated by pelicans. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I tend to follow intuition and trust the process as things fall into place. And then at some point, it's like, okay, we either make this movie now or we'll probably never make it.
Right.
You know, and that's what happened with Pelican. The cast came together, the location came together, the script started gelling.
When you have the script and you get the actors and then the actual filming time, what's the time frame on that?
Boy, it's still all over the map because you need a certain amount of funding. Mm-hmm. You need the right actors, you know, like it's easy to say, okay, we're gonna make this movie, let's cast it, you hold auditions. It's not the best way to make something, in my opinion, especially at the independent level, because you really need the right actor. Like, if you have the right actor, it doesn't matter if Harrison Ford walks in and wants to be in it because you feel like you already have the right actor. Right. It's a weird thing, but it is your intuition, it is your luck, timing.
How about Calvin Marshall and Phoenix, Oregon?
Yeah, those were a little different because we were down in Hollywood. So the first movie we made was called Calvin Marshall, and it was a baseball movie. I spent years trying to get it made. And you know, back then you needed millions of dollars to make a movie, and I think that's different now. You can have a little bit of money and make something really compelling.
How many people were on the crew of Calvin?
Boy, we had about 80 people on the Calvin crew.
What about when you were in Medford at the local ball fields? How many people were on the set?
Oh man, probably
dozens.
Yeah, dozens and dozens, and we had trucks, so you had to move props and gear and lights and food and whatever we had catering, so the catering truck would follow us around.
Was that your biggest budget?
That was the biggest budget.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a $3 million movie. It was still very low for the time.
Yeah.
Felt like way too much money to spend on a movie when we were doing it, but it was probably the smallest movie Steve Zahn ever worked on.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
And Phoenix, Oregon?
Phoenix, Oregon, that was 10 years later. Mm-hmm. So you figure in those 10 years, film stock became not what you had to do. Like Calvin was shot in 35 millimeters. The film stock, you couldn't shoot digital then really unless you did Betacam or something. Like the red camera had just come out. Things that help post-production, things that help production. The sensors of cameras are so sensitive to light nowadays that you don't need a big lighting truck anymore. The film Train Dreams last year, which is on Netflix, great film, all shot with natural light. I love collaborating with a cinematographer. I love having a proper sound person on set. I've been spoiled. I've worked with just some amazing friends and people, but this is what they do for a living, and so suddenly when you have a tiny movie, unless I can pay them their proper rates, I'm not gonna ask them to work for free or work for less. So having a little bit of money, it makes you really carefully allocate how you're going to spend it. And one of those was, I can own my own camera now. Yeah. I can operate a camera. I've been around cameras my whole life, so it just became a natural extension to say, okay, we're going to work smaller. We're going to have a smaller footprint. I might bring a light or two. I might not. Let's
talk a tiny little bit about Annie.
Okay. Yeah.
Your wife. But tell us before we go to break a little bit about Annie Lundgren and what she's doing when you're, let's say, on the set directing.
Yeah.
All that organizational stuff that has to happen.
Yeah. Well, Annie and I, we were in film school together, so it was way back when we got married. I already had an English degree. Before we were dating, I had a play that I wrote and directed, and she came to the play, and so she was always involved in the arts. Mm-hmm. She was a philosophy major, so we had good conversations.
She didn't say, Gary, go do your film thing, I got other stuff.
No. We teamed up. At first it was just a little help, but she's whip smart, and she was a physics major and then became a philosophy major. She's just a very smart person.
Organized,
yeah. Organized in a very efficient way, not in a crazy way.
Concrete.
Yeah,
there's flexibility.
Both pretty
Yeah.
flexible and easygoing. But when the first movie we made in film school was a 60 millimeter feature. I just
is it sort of Wow and Flutter? Or is that,
no, this was a film called Lithium. It was a student project, and she produced it. We raised money. We both go on our intuition a lot of, anything you do has to feel right, even if it puts you in uncomfortable situations or it's hard or difficult or it's a big mountain to climb. It still has to feel right. Like, okay, I'm on the right trail. I think I'm climbing the right mountain. And once you have that going, then it became a tag team kind of effort. But Annie's like great producer. People love her. You know, people love working for her. She's a great assistant director. I think she's the best, you know, one of the best ADs I've ever worked with. On Calvin, we had a really good AD, and we learned a lot from Keith Jones. And just how important the assistant director is. I think once you have a small team where you trust each other, she's the first person that reads a script if I write it. She usually has some key reactions because she knows me, like maybe this section feels a little redundant, or maybe you don't need this. Or
so you're always open to the input, and then
absolutely,
it's your decision, but you want the feedback.
You need the input, you know. You don't want to get input from everybody. I think, you know, on Calvin Marshall, I learned a lot because we had investors, we had actors, we had agents, we had all these people, and I would have got Calvin made a lot sooner if I would have listened to some other company.
If it was a rah-rah ending.
They wanted Rudy. Yeah, but people want to watch Rudy.
But Steve Zahn in that movie is not anywhere close to perfect.
Yeah, I was very attracted to movies. Like the dramedy is kind of the kiss of death when you're pitching movies, and I wanted to make a dramedy. You know, they either want it funny.
I like the real mix.
Casting's weird. I had lunch with Shia LaBeouf. He was going to play Calvin. Steve Zahn was already on board. But Steven Spielberg literally called for Raiders of the Lost Ark. And so, so we lost Shia. And there were some other actors we were considering. You know, when you start casting a 20-something, there's a lot. You could cast a newbie. You could ask... You could cast, you know, they haven't had a lot of roles yet generally, but I was a big fan of Elephant, a Gus Van Sant film that Alex Frost was in. He's very, he plays kind of a scary character in Elephant. But when I met him, he was like John Cusack, you know, he was, you know, we had a lot of actors come in and audition for that part, famous actors, but they couldn't play volleyball. And
she looks pretty good in the show.
She was an All-American, a high school volleyball player. I didn't want it. I didn't want to fake it. It'd be like someone playing baseball not be able to throw a baseball. You know. When
we come back from break, we're at La Boveda Labs. Thanks to Ben Wilder, and my friend Greg is sitting in. My name's Theo. This is local filmmaker Gary Lundgren. August 1st, 2026, and we'll be back after a short break.